Okay, so last night we did have a bunch of events and stuff announced for part two, right? I mean, just taking a quick look here, we have the announcement. By the way, we don't know what the LR for this unit is. We'll find out tonight in the data download, but we got all this extra stuff, new stages and stuff, but we didn't actually get an easy A announcement, so I guess I should have brought this up beforehand. But during part two of the 7th anniversary, we did get the announcements for EZAs, right? And leading up to it. So technically, the 7th anniversary started on the 10th last year, but this year's actually starting on the 9th, right? So there's a difference right there specifically. But we had EZA's announcements 2 days before then because of part 2 having the EZAs. However, this time we did actually get these guys as EZAs very early in part 1. They released on the 3rd and they were announced on the 1st, right? So it hasn't even been a week really since they're announced. So it's not the biggest surprise that we didn't get any EZA announcements, I guess, right? But a lot of us did anticipate EZAs for part 2, and I still do think we are going to be seeing a bunch of different EZAs potentially for part 2 of the 8th anniversary. Just to kind of make up for the fact, you know, there's some things differing from the 8th in the 8th anniversary from the 7th, right? Such as there's no like legendary event missions, there's no red zone, right? We had 2 different sets of red zone, whilst this time we only have the Shadow Dragon event, basically, right? There's differences for sure, and I kind of like that there's these differences to try and set the 8th anniversary apart from the 7th, because it would be very hard to beat the 7th anniversary by following the same exact template. So we'll see how things go. Again, we only know exactly what's in part 1. Later tonight, we're going to have a data download that I'll cover, which will have like all the details here. But I want to talk about what potential EZAs we can still see for part 2 of the celebration, knowing what we already have seen in part 1 and things like that. So, for example, we do have the physical Vegito EZA that finally came out. And we have the STR Boo Tanks EZA that also finally came out. Where is he? I keep calling him STR Boo Tanks, but the STR Super Boo. This guy also got his EZA. Now, I'm gonna presume part 2 may not have an LR EZA, but it might. If there's gonna be an EZA for specifically part 2, I think that like STR Vegeta wouldn't be there. I don't think Boo Tanks would be there. I think that's more like part 3, part EX, you know, kind of EZA. So we're gonna focusing, I think, a lot on TURs or Yellow Coin LRs that could potentially get an EZA. Now, if we're taking a look down here, I think, you know, one of the biggest options is this guy. This guy getting an EZA would make a lot of sense, especially if, you know, the second half of part 2, I guess you could say, is a different theme. I would presume it would still be like Majin Buu Saga and Shadow Dragon Saga, but we're not 100% sure on that, because last year it went into Saiyan Saga, right? So they could just do something wildly different that we weren't expecting at all, right? I mean, again, the Force Spirit Bomb theory is not like out of the question, I'd say, but I do think that's gonna be Omega and Kid Buu. But regardless, I think this guy's EZA would be a really good idea. He's a Yellow Coin LR. He's as old as Vegito and Buhan, the LRs from Worldwide Celebration, but this guy would still be a really, really good choice, I feel, for sure. And I think another 2 pairing, well, there's 2 different pairings of EZAs we could see. I think what I really, really want to see is these 2 guys as EZA. I think these 2 guys getting an EZA would be really, really, really sick, right? Just Goku and Vegeta, right? I just think that it would make a lot of sense in the anniversary. They're not necessarily anything to do with the Spirit Bomb, but to be fair, this Vegeta doesn't really also have anything to do with the Spirit Bomb as well, right? But it's just Buu Saga stuff that they could EZA. A lot of these Buu Saga units can EZA. I saw some people throwing out the potential of Go Tanks and this Exchange Buu EZAing. I would say I actually don't see the EZAs for the celebration. Like, it's possible, but if I had to pick between like these guys and the Super Saiyan 2s, I would probably pick the Super Saiyan 2s for sure. I think that this is just not these guys' time to EZA, right? I think that, you know, maybe later on with the new Go Tanks, we could see this guy. Maybe later on with like a Buhan Dokkan Fest or something, we could maybe see this guy get an EZA, right? I just don't imagine it in this part of celebration or like this anniversary, but maybe, who knows, right? I just want to throw them out there as possibilities. From there, like for a part 2 EZA, I don't really see anyone else from like specifically the Majin Buu Saga that would EZA. I mean, unless they really do just throw out Vegito and Buu Tanks, but I wouldn't anticipate that. I mean, This guy could maybe easily like a free-to-play LR, but that's really it from there. So I think these three are very, very likely to get easy A's from there. Now if we take a look at the Power of Wishes category real quick, I think the real like biggest unit I could see here getting an easy A would be like based around part 1 and part 1 unit specifically. Would be this guy right here. This Spirit Bomb Angel Goku. I mean, he's a Spirit Bomb unit. He's a pretty old LR EZA. He came out only like, what, 2 months after STR Cooler release, and STR Cooler's EZA was over 6 months ago, by the way. STR Cooler, when did his EZA come out? Let's find out the exact date. It was all the way back in, what's it called, September, right, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, September 22nd of 2022. That is... yeah, 6 months ago. So, this guy, you know, I feel like it wouldn't be a stretch that this guy would get an easy A. I think he'd be very helpful for the new Power of Wishes category team as well. I mean, being a Rainbow Orb Changer could definitely help there. Like, another support unit. I feel like that team really needs, like, a support unit to help bring everything together. At least that's how I think they should go ahead and handle things specifically. Because... that team needs, just someone to help bring everything together. I think would be a really, really good idea. And this guy would be, he has 7 out of 7 links actually with, which unit? This unit right here, right? I'm pretty sure they have actually 7 out of 7 links, right? Before you exchange into Vegeta and Goku, and then they lose like some of these links. But yeah, that's pretty good. So hopefully we see that happen. I think that this guy's EZA would be very, very helpful. There is... an EZA slot actually. So we got the God Goku EZA. Turns out his EZA slot is 102. For context, Gohan and Cell were 101 and 100, I believe. And then the Gogeta Blue was 98. So there's an EZA slot 99. One specific EZA slot that's not there. Now you could say, oh, that's probably for Beerus that's going to be on Global and, you know, maybe even JP same time, same day, right? Which is definitely very possible. Or maybe it could be a singular EZA, this guy that's coming on the JP version. Who knows, right? We don't know for sure. But that's just very interesting to see, I'd say specifically. So there's that missing EZA spot. We know that there's an EZA that they already made. I mean, it's not hard to guess that, right? It doesn't really mean anything, but so there's a singular EZA that'll release on its own. Maybe it could be this guy, for sure. We'll have to wait and see, right? Now, if we're looking at GT, I think one of the biggest things for GT is that there could be a lot of these sub-EZAs, right? So, like this Physical Pan, this Trunks. I mean, this Goku could actually be really good. If you guys aren't aware, this Goku has the 50% raise. So they add defense here, 50% defense for attacking defense for 3 turns. Maybe even bump it up to 6 turns. That could be really interesting, for sure. I mean, we also have... these guys right here. The thing about these guys as well is that the Vegeta has the 30% raise, but Goku also has the 50% raise, this guy. So give him the 50% raise for, you know, 4 or 5, 6 turns. These is gonna get really nasty for this guy and this these two guys specifically. Vegeta unfortunately stuck with 30%, but they could always just change it to 50%, right, if they really wanted to. It's if they add defense here, it's gonna stay as 50%. That's what we've seen usually with these EZAs that have the 50% attack raise like that. Sometimes they don't give them defense, maybe they're scared of it, but yeah. I don't really see many units like Dokkan Fest EZA necessarily. I mean, this guy could definitely get an EZA. I think that he'd be a very worthy EZA for part 2. But Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta necessarily isn't really, you know, a part in the anniversary, right? Not really at all. It's just really the Super Spirit Bomb after Gogeta, like, you know, they defuse with Gogeta. So I guess that's fine. But okay, one thing I thought of for sure. I should have brought up the tweet probably, but because maybe I could still bring it up here real quick here. I made a tweet about this. I just have to look for it. But essentially, imagine these two getting their EZAs. Now. People will be like, they're too early. There's no way they'll get their EZAs. What if I just said they just do it? What if they just do it? What if they do? Right? Like, what if they're like, yeah, we'll just EZA them. Oh yeah, this is not really a hot take that I said. I said this on Twitter as well, but I feel like any pre-7th anniversary unit could EZA. in my opinion. Any pre 7th anniversary unit that especially got hit by the power creep really hard, like these guys, even AGL Trunks if they wanted, Kaon Caulifla, you know, so many of these units that were built for like, you know, well, I guess Kaon Caulifla was kind of built in mind with Red Zone, right? But like, you know, Future Gohan and Trunks. I just feel like so many of these units, you know, maybe not the tech androids, right? But pre 7th anniversary, most of them can get an EZA. Like, you know, say like November and before, all of them can get an EZA, I think. Just because like the 7th anniversary power group is so big for a lot of these characters. Like, sure, you could use this GT Goku against the baby fight. Maybe you can get away with them in Omega Shenron. But at this point, it's been a whole year since the 7th anniversary. And unit power creep has also increased. So it's like this guy, you don't really want to run him. Like, you ran him because you had no other choice, essentially, back then during this 7th anniversary, right? Especially since the GT Heroes team was arguably the best team in the game at the moment. So it's like, what else were you supposed to do, I guess, right? I mean, this Vegeta handled it a little better, but their defenses both were just power crept at the same time. Even Vegeta's defense just wasn't enough there, and it's like, what if they use EM, right? I guess one thing people would say, their active skill. I saw someone say, like, oh, you know, their active skills kind of suck. But they can always work around this, actually. Even if they can't change the conditions, what if they just give them an additional in here? Like, perform an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. And then they get an extra part of their passive. Attack plus 100%, and then performs guaranteed crit when you're using active skill, right? They could do that, right? Kind of similar, I think Goku and Piccolo has something like that, right? Attack plus 100% when at 24Q using the active skill, right? They could always get something like that. So I think that it would just make a lot of sense, honestly, if they do EZA. Maybe not really, but I think it would be really good. It's like, okay, it's, like I was saying, imagine like this theme where it's like, Goku Vegeta from Buu Saga and GT together EZAing for part 2. I think that'd be very sick, and no matter what, people will say it's too early for these guys, I'd rather wait for them to EZA. Why not just EZA them now? Like, who cares? We're gonna get more GT in the future. There's still the sub EZAs we can get, I guess. And who knows, maybe these guys are EZA during some random tournament power celebration or something, right? Who knows, right? But yeah, this is what I was saying here. Plausible need that. I think a lot of people would be excited. They kind of did it last year, a little bit, right? So, they're not on the team of the new LRs, right? So, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I really... They don't hold up nicely. I mean, Vegeta, like, again, for the first time, but the thing is that that's because there's no other options. Especially in global, right? So... I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of this here. I think that it'd be pretty funny if they EZA. I would be down for the chaos, but let me know what y'all think, and I'll catch you in the next video.